Hello, Presley Traders here, and welcome to Western Women Wednesdays, brought to you in collaboration with my jewelry brand, Cowgirls Edge. This series is all about celebrating the incredible women of the Western industry, showcasing their stories, passions, and experiences while fostering connections and empowerment. In this episode, I'm thrilled to introduce our guest, Becky Wigemyr. She's actually my mom's god sister, and she's got a special place in our family. She's the award-winning author of beloved children's books like Cowboy Cody Ropes Sleeper Pete, and Cowboy Cody Rides Again. Becky also runs Wild West Kids, a subscription service curating farm, ranch, and rodeo-themed books for little cowboy and cowgirl readers. Today, we'll talk about her journey as an author, how she turned her love for storytelling into a career, and some valuable advice for aspiring authors and entrepreneurs. Remember, we release new episodes every second Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Without further ado, let's kick off this week's episode. Hello, here is Becky. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and yeah.
So, hi, Presley. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so glad that you asked me. It's just a real very encouraging to see a young lady like yourself that's just going out and chasing your dreams and, going out and getting what you want. So super impressed by this endeavor that you've got happening here. So anyway, introduce myself. My name is Becky Wigemyr. So I grew up in the Okotoks area. I was basically raised in the foothills of southern Alberta, and in 1993 I married my husband Dwight, and Dwight and I have two boys, Denton and Devin, and they are both grown and married with families of their own. So we have some awesome daughter-in-laws now in the family and three grandchildren. So that's right now we live west of Brooks, Alberta, in southeastern Alberta. And yeah, I was a foothills girl, and I've been a prairie girl for about 30 years now.
That's awesome, and thank you so much again for coming on. Super excited to chat with you here today. It's super exciting. Southern Alberta girl for life you are. So talk about Cowboy Cody's and your book subscription, Wild West Kids, and along with that, who is Cowboy Cody? Why'd you pick the name Cody?
Okay, well, so in 2017, I released my first children's book, and like you said, it's called Cowboy Cody, and it was something that I had bouncing around in my brain for a long time before I actually got the courage to do it, to just go out and figure out how to do it and get it done. But I was raised in the rodeo lifestyle, and it was always something that was pretty easy for me because, I was born into a rodeo family, and, the horses were there, the trucks, the trailers, everything was there. It was just part of who I was. And I've always been really intrigued by people that weren't born into the rodeo lifestyle, and for some reason they just sort of know in their bones that they're meant to be cowboys or cowgirls. And I had a few people like that in my life that I always really admired, and I just loved the grit and determination that they had to just go out and chase who they felt like, I guess what they felt was reflected their authentic self. And so the first one was actually my dad, who my dad was born and raised in Calgary, kind of close to where the Stampede grounds are now, and close to Chinook Center. And his parents were both in real estate in Calgary, and yeah, he for some reason he said that he used to read Roy Rogers books, and he was just like absolutely taken with them. And I think he said that he ordered his first rope from a Sears catalog.
They sell ropes?
Yes. Back in those days they did. They sold everything. They sold ropes and, homes and everything in that catalog, apparently. And then, he begged his parents, and finally my grandpa bought him a horse, and they kept it out on the outskirts of Calgary at the time. And he used to pedal his little bike down to where this horse was and saddle his horse, and he would go riding kind of around, it's very different now, but kind of on the outskirts of Calgary. And then he ended up running into some people that sort of helped him along the way. One of them was the legendary cowboy Lorne Wells, who was a really good calf roper. And people like that just sort of, just helped him kind of get where he wanted to go. And so my dad ended up being a calf roper, and as a team roper, he's still a team roper. And I just thought, wow, that's so neat that, that he just did whatever he had to do to be the cowboy that he felt that he was.
Yeah,
And then,
it's incredible how much of a village rodeo is, and how many people have helped me along the way. And now that I'm getting older, I'm able to help them and lend out horses and trailers. So it's nice to be able to pay it back. And yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I just think about that back then. And, he didn't really have, he did have the support of his parents as far as, making sure he had that horse. But my dad would just ride into somebody's yard and say, "Can I help you move your cows?" or something like that. And yeah, and I think that, and he's always been that kind of a guy that sounds like you are now, where he would often help people get on their way. And he certainly helped me. That was something that our entire family did together from as far back as I can remember. And yeah, he's just kind of an inspiring guy. And I always thought that was really neat. And then my kids had a friend also named Cody that they grew up with here. And he was sort of the same. He just wanted to be around the horses and in the arena, and whether he had to wrap steers or push cattle or, feed or whatever, he just made sure he was here. And he's about 30 now, and he's trained a few of his own horses, and he ropes and rides, and he's just a cowboy through and through. And he didn't really come from that background. Again, he had parents that helped him, but a lot of it, he kind of had to figure out on his own, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is super neat. And so you wrote Cowboy Cody, and then is it Rope, Sleep, Repeat, and what's the last one?
The last one is called Cowboy Cody Rides Again.
Yeah.
And so what I really wanted to do, Presley, is I wanted to create a series of books that featured the events that kids in sort of that like 3 to 8 age group can participate in. I knew that was the target audience that I wanted to reach. And so, the first book is a sheep riding book. And the second book is set primarily at a dummy roping. And the third book is set in the wild pony race. So those are 3 ways that kids that age can get involved in rodeo and be part of it. And I thought that was there. There was a gap in the market in that area where there wasn't a lot out there, I felt, at the time. And so it was there because it was so hard for me to find, authentic, great children's books that were set in the Western lifestyle. And so that was when I kind of thought, okay, like this is another generation of moms that are looking for this stuff. And so that's what sort of got the ball rolling on that on the book subscription. So that paired with I was looking for something. My daughter-in-law Tess was pregnant with our first granddaughter Wilder, and I was looking for something to send to Tess. We live a couple hours apart, and there was a subscription for expectant mothers where every month they got a box that kind of included things that would kind of get them ready for baby. And so then I thought, well, wouldn't that be great if I could just curate these book packages and send them out. So basically I'm just helping moms who want their kid, who moms just like I was, moms just like, all moms. It's important to us that our kids are readers, and that we do things, to help them, to help kind of foster that love of reading. And so I started putting that together, and then, long story short, Wild West Kids was born from that, from the need that I saw that just didn't seem to go away. And the other thing is I knew, right, because I'd been involved in this in as an author in this genre of children's books, and so I knew where they were. And I had created a network of authors just like me, and so I was able to say, okay, I know where they are. I know what they want, and now this is a way that I can deliver that product to customers, and so
Yeah.
that's what I'm doing.
That's incredible. It's a beautiful idea come to life. I love it. And one artist supporting another. How many authors have you worked with, and what is included in your subscription box?
Okay, well, I've worked with a ton of authors across North America, and they just keep. And I'm at the point now where my company is established enough that they are finding me now, which is fantastic. Initially I was looking for books, and now I have a waiting list a mile long. That I've been doing this for just about 4 years. I what In every box there's three different children's books, and I haven't repeated a book yet. So, it looks like I didn't think that there was that many, but now people are finding me, so I'm just able to keep offering different books, and eventually I'll have to start repeating. But by that time, my thought is that the kids will age out, and I'll have a new batch of little cowboy kids that are looking for these books. So in each box, I actually have one here, Presley. So I'm going to show you. This is from my September box, which shipped out last week. So my Wild West Kids boxes ship the first week of every month, and so I send them out in a box like this. And inside the September box, we have a really great book by an author named Nikki Glandon. And it's called Pete the Pony. Pete Goes to School. So really great September. This is a series of 9 or 10 books, and I've been sending quite a few of these out in 2024. So Pete the Pony. And then this is, I really try to work in, I want to have a nice balance of, good writing, but also fun for kids, right? It needs to be fun and sometimes silly. So I really try to provide all of that as much as I can. So this one is called 5 O'Clock Charlie, and this is a really old book, but it just stands up. It's a great book about a horse that gets retired, and he doesn't want to retire yet. And so we've all had those kind of horses that are like, hey, I want to be doing something. So it's a really good book. And then this one is called The Cow That Jack Milked, and it's basically a farm to table story about milk and how it gets from the cow to our tables and our fridges. And so I really try, all of our books are exclusively themes of farm, ranch, or rodeo. So like there's, no dinosaur books, or, this is, if this is your thing, this is your subscription box. So it really, I try to, provide books that remind kids where their food comes from. I try to find books that, like I said before, that the little readers can see themselves in, and for kids that maybe aren't living on a farm or a ranch, it can sort of expose that lifestyle to those kids so that they understand how the food gets to their table. And so also I have extras in each box. And what I try to do is every month I send some activities along. And so the one thing I do in every box is I feature Gene Autry's Cowboy Code. And one of his code number 4 is be kind to the children, the elderly, and the animals. So I try to send an activity that teaches kids to serve, right? To serve other people, to be kind to an animal, where, sometimes it's a recipe for, horse cookies or dog biscuit, something like that. Or it's a way that you can work with your child and create something maybe for them to give to a senior. So this one that I have is called Catch People in the Act, and basically it encourages kids to just notice when somebody is doing something nice and to thank them for it. Every month I have a recipe that I include for the kids, something that has ingredients that you can readily find around the house. So this is buckaroo brownie batter dip, ranch dressing. And then I always include a joke, a cow kid corny joke. So it's always, I've got a new joke every month. That's a favorite, actually. The kids love those. And then I always include an idea for a craft for the kids. And I try to keep it something farm, ranch, rodeo related. Always. So yeah, and so it's the 3 books plus the extra kind of ancillary activities that I put in the boxes.
That's awesome. And you have a website, right? Wild West
Yes.
Kids. That's where they can find the boxes.
Absolutely, yes.
And are your books on there too, or where can they find those?
So actually, my books, I had actually run out of my Cowboy Cody books earlier this year, and I've just created them, and they are offered in paperback on at Amazon.com, and when I get my shipment, they'll also be available on the website. So I do have one of books on my website as well for people that maybe don't want to subscribe. We do have the one of books where they can kind of pick and choose what I have to offer.
And if you look closely at some of your tack and local Western stores in Southern Alberta, you'll see them in there. So just keep an eye out.
Right. Yep. No, I do. I've been really well supported by our local Western lifestyle community. I've been really lucky. I think I've got a lot of, this is, as you know, this lifestyle is just full of the very best people. So
It is. What advice would you give to aspiring authors or entrepreneurs in the Western industry?
Well, I think that's a good question. I think what I would say is like, just zip up your thick skin and go and chase what you're wanting, right? I don't know very many things that in this world that are worthwhile that don't come with a little bit of hard work. And we live in a great time to be able to learn. So that was something that I really felt super lucky, right? Because almost anything you want to do, you can Google how to do it, right? At least to get you started, right? And then you look for somebody that's done it before and approach them. I've had a few people when I was writing my first book, I had a few people that didn't answer my email or basically didn't really express any interest in being helpful, but everybody I asked was able to help me in some way, and I was able to learn in some way. So I think that's my best advice is, chase what you're after.
Yeah, those are some wise words. And one of my favorite quotes that you kind of reminded me of is, let them say no, you don't say no. So when you're like, oh, I kind of want to reach out to them or ask or something, let them say, oh, sorry, I don't have time or anything, because you never know. It's always an opportunity.
Exactly. That's such great advice. And, and I think, that when somebody your age is saying that to her peers, you can make a big difference in people's lives too, right? And watching what you're doing right now, I think is going to be very inspiring to people, and you probably don't even know it.
Thank you. You're so
you
sweet.
can be. Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about how did you publish your book? Did you self-publish or did you go through a company? How was that?
Well, I ended up self-publishing. I did have conversations after my first book with a company in Vancouver, and they just really, like a lot of people have said this, but when you have a feeling about something, you trust it, and I really did. I worried that if I were to move forward with that traditional publishing company, that maybe that I would lose some of the authenticity that's really important to me in my Cowboy Cody books, and I didn't want to have to give that up, and so I didn't want to have to that jump through the hoops that you have to jump through to maybe be a little more pleasing to the market as a whole, right? I have a very specific niche here, and I want to serve that group of people. And so there's a lot of really great opportunities in self-publishing, and especially as somebody now that's buying books from a lot of authors that have done it a lot of different ways, I don't really see I don't really see a lot of advantages to doing it one way or over the other right now. I have a lot of books in my, the thing that people used to say about self-publishing is that the quality is poor. And there's definitely that out there, right? There's definitely some poor quality books out there, but there are some incredible books out there, and people, I have people in my network that are, that are working with other authors. That's not something that I do, but that have businesses where they work with other authors, helping them get their books published. And they're doing a great job of teaching people about making sure that the quality's there. And I think that maybe 20 years ago it was different, but self-publishing's in a really good place right now.
That's awesome. And if you could go back to your 2017 self before you wrote your first Cowboy Cody, what would you tell her if you were to give her a little bit of advice?
Well, I think, okay, so I would, there's not too much that I would do different from there, but let me tell you how, because I wrote several children's books back in the 90s when my kids were very young. And I was I didn't really know what to do. The internet honestly wasn't really a thing at that time. And so, and I was very busy with two small children, but it was always something in the back of my mind. I've always been a writer. I love, I wanted to do it for many, many years. And then my sister-in-law, Lynette Broadway, she's my husband's older sister. She recommended a book to me by an author named John C. Maxwell. And in the first paragraph of that book, John said, the sentence was, "What would you do if you knew you would not fail?" And I immediately thought I would write those little cowboy kids books that I've always wanted to write. And then almost as quick as I could get that thought out, all of the doubts started, well, I don't know what to do. And I have no idea. I have no idea how to do it. I don't even know who to talk to, and so all of the negative thoughts were on the heels of that first thought. But I continued to read that book, which I really recommend. And the author talks a lot about how we sabotage ourselves with that negative self-talk. And so that's what I would say, right? Is, don't talk yourself out of it before you've even done it.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
One of my most favorite quotes I heard not too long ago was, "Kill your ego and don't let all your scaredness and what if and this and that get in the way of what you want to do. If you really want to do it, all that other stuff doesn't matter."
Right. And really, like if we just stayed out of our own way and asked ourselves, what would you do if you knew you wouldn't fail? Then, the possibilities are endless. It's just after you kind of decide that, you got to get out of your own way a little bit and allow it to happen.
Absolutely. And speaking of endless possibilities, what's coming next for you? Do you have any new projects or anything like that?
Well, so yeah, I really, it's really on my heart to write another series. I really want to, do a breakaway series. I would love to do something where with a strong female lead character, a little girl, a breakaway roper. I haven't started that yet. I've been very busy. I work for an oil company that I've worked for like 23 years. And then I run Wild West Kids in on the evenings and weekends, and and I'm trying to move my children's books as well. So, and I've got these 3 grandchildren that, I think are pretty cool. So until something, it'll probably be, when I retire, which won't be too long now. So I think I will do another series, and it'll probably be a female lead series and centered around breakaway roping.
That's awesome. We love breakaway roping over here, so you're speaking to the right crowd.
Right. Yeah. I have lots of good people to talk to about that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think that's about all I have for you today, Becky. So thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'll make sure to leave all of her information down below so you can find her books and her subscription. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Presley. It was really nice visiting with you.